Hello, and welcome to a video. Well, this is a the first of a new series, I think, called What You Doing. The fact is that Nathan often tends to ask me, what am I doing? And I thought this might be a fun way to answer him and also show exactly what's going on at the time. So when he asks if I'm doing something interesting, then I'll stop and make a little video of it. I think that's how it's going to work. Hopefully it'll be entertaining, but I doubt it. Yeah, I shouldn't give into depression, should I? But this is a game I came across a few days ago called Factorio. A fun little play on factory. I have a nice little car here, bunch of materials, and I'm going to show what I've been doing, because really this has sucked me in quite badly for the last few days. I played a game, learnt a bit, and then I started this thing, which has taken several days so far. Anyone who's familiar with this game will see that there's lots of red dots on the map. That's because I set base frequency to high, looking for a bit of a challenge, thinking, oh hey, more bases, more enemies, more things coming my way. Didn't quite work out that way, because they don't attack until you get enough pollution going, unfortunately. Now, this is a little home from home iron ore mining. That was nearly run out. But really this is a factory complex which I built in the middle of a desert. Here comes the choo-choo train. It's really too far away from anything to use water and steam as a power supply, so I've had to fit it with solar panels and, well, accumulators just to recharge the energy. But this place really started out as an oil well, and I added the iron mines to it later. The train comes on, loads oil barrels into the first carriage and iron ore into the second one, because I prefer to keep them separate like that. Unfortunately I'm going to have to find a new base soon, because look at these things are barely producing anything anymore. So this base has almost outlived its purpose, which is a pity really. And I don't want to drive across there because that train's going to go any second. I don't want to be in the way. Come on. Anyway, since it's so remote, it's fitted with laser defences, because it doesn't need ammunition for it. Though I have noticed lasers are actually quite a bit weaker than the guns as far as base defences go. But they do a damage type which heavier monsters, medium biters, things, they're resistant to physical, which the guns do, but the lasers, they don't do that. They do energy damage, which tends to get through a lot more effectively against armoured opponents, so yeah, that's okay. Now we'll follow the train track up north. Yes, I'm trying to do a good commentary, but I get the feeling I'm not doing too well. Now, this is a more recent facility, more recent than the one I just showed you. You can tell because the straight line of the train track there, just coming through, and then this little side track I added because these train stops, can only be put on a level piece of track, not diagonal. So really this is just a way station, a halt for the train. It stops and gets loaded with copper ore into the last carriage, which was put on just for that purpose. Again, it's got laser defences, double thick walls, and solar and accumulator power systems, just to keep it running. But I really need this base, and things like the one to the south, because my initial factory site has actually run out of resources, more or less. Or at least it's running out to the point where it can't keep up with its production rates. There goes the train. One slight drawback of this diagonal thing, I have found that you can load and unload carriages that are diagonal, so you can fit them onto an existing track, but it's awkward to get the inserters to work properly with it. And in this case, I've also walled it in so that when the train is here, I can't actually walk along this middle bit inside the base itself, because the train's in the way and blocks me from actually doing it. Hey, I'm not supposed to be here very much, because it's heavily defended, self-sufficient, and it's got tons of copper left in it. So yeah, there we go. One thing I have noticed though, compared to some videos I looked at yesterday, is that people tend to spread out their factories a lot more than I do. Ooh, I need to iron. They spread out their factories a lot more than I tend to, because I've just built a complex monstrosity, and you'll see that in a moment. And look, there's the train unloading. It's unloading the iron, it's unloading the copper, and then it's feeding all to these belts which are taking it up north, because that's where my processing is all located for this stuff, at the far end of the base, unfortunately. Anyway, welcome to my garage. It's got 3 cars. I don't know why I need 3, because I'm the only person here, and it's a bit awkward to park in as well, so I made it a bit too cramped. But this is the facility I call the BetaFort. Welcome. No, I didn't want to get out of that again. Anyway, the first fast conveyors I built was for an ammunition system. I use physical guns mostly for the defense of this base. That is a constant drain on my resources, producing the ammunition, but they do twice as much damage per shot compared to the lasers, and they fire, what's that, shooting rate 10, shooting rate 3, so yeah, over 3 times faster as well, so they can really chew through an opponent. But I've built these guns, automated loaders, load the ammunition into them, and then it is tied back all of the ammunition to a single facility somewhere in the depths of the factory. You can see the line there. But anyway, let's get on with the little tour, shall we? Such as it is. Now here comes some more logistics drones. It's because I've got them filling me up with some resources so I can do crafting more easily. Though if I want to do any real amount of crafting, I have to actually restock myself. But anyway, this is the most recent addition to this base, apart from the garage. This place is producing stone. This is literally my only stone source in the entire factory at the moment. There was a tiny amount of stone up here somewhere, but that ran out a long time ago. I really need to find another source of stone, because I use it to build walls, and I use it to build things like these, the steel furnaces. You might ask why I'm using steel furnaces when I've got access to electric furnaces, which are these. But really, look at the size of the things. They're 3x3 instead of 2x2. I mean, sure, it would mean I wouldn't have to use the fuel. This is solid fuel, but the fact is I need oil production, and that won't actually produce anything if I've got stocks of heavy and light fuel. So I've been converting this base to run on solid fuel produced from oil rather than coal, which is actually working out quite well so far. Anyway, this is the battery production site, such as it is. It produces my batteries and loads them into this conveyor here, because I do actually have a production line that needs them. But there is also a passive provider chest, which means I can request batteries, as can other buildings and sites. This entire factory isn't actually built for a provider system like this yet, because they're actually quite recent in my technology development. But yeah, this place produces batteries and sulfuric acid and sulfur, and it also connects to the main feed line, which I'll show you in a moment. This is the fuel production site, which fuels all of my furnaces now. This was actually a coal line running all the way down here, but I reversed the flow on it once I converted it to the solid fuel. So this is my southern power plant. Glorious, or not. I mean, it's only 6 steam engines, fitted with 7 of these boilers. But boilers you have to have running on a solid fuel of some kind, wood, coal, or solid fuel, as it's called, because you can't get an electric boiler, unfortunately. These are the 2 oil refineries feeding oil. There is a small oil well up to the, where's the map? Up to the north, up here. Small oil well. but most of my oil actually comes from that first base I showed you down here. Though I will need to move and find a new one, as I said. The problem is there aren't really that many. There's a couple there, there's a couple there. I can probably hook those two up quite easily, but any further exploration to, like that one there, that might be a good one, but it's right next to a huge blob of enemies. And yeah, these scattered blobs is because I drove around in a car exploring a lot of this, and they started chasing me. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, oil production, it produces oil, it produces plastics over there, conveyors are trying to carry me away. This is my last iron source inside the base itself. Iron ore is actually coming from the sub-bases further out at the moment, apart from this site. That one's run dry, those have run dry. I am seriously running out of resources for the most part over here. Like, oh, that's run out. That was my last source of copper inside the base perimeter. So, not much point in that sticking around anymore. Just pick that up quickly. I am very nervous around the train tracks because if the train hits me while it's moving, it's a one-hit kill. It just flattens you, and I don't want to get flattened. I know it's due back at some point. It's running on automatic, so I'm not sure where it is at the moment. Nope, it's not coming, so I'll cross the tracks. It's quite nice that. Anyway, this is the oil unloading facility. These take oil barrels filled at the other site you saw, and it empties them, puts the barrels back on to be loaded back into the train, and the full barrels are being pulled out by this line and loaded into this. Though because that facility is running dry, there isn't actually any oil barrels waiting here to be emptied at the moment, and because I've stepped up my oil use quite a lot recently when I converted to solid fuel. But anyway, battery line. Look how much iron ore I've got backed up, but don't worry, I'll get through it all eventually. I do use quite a lot of this stuff. This is the most recent addition, apart from that stone and... oh yeah, I didn't show you. It's a stone and it actually produces walls as well. It loads them on from this carousel. Look at those little stones. It's getting barely any. I do need to get this thing upgraded. Puts them into the furnaces and then it all unloads into the middle, where this arm grabs it and puts it into this assembly machine, which produces walls. I've got 1,000 blocks of walls at the moment. Or if they get past that, because it's only a slow one, excuse me, if they get past that, they get put into this provider as blocks, which I can then make. Oh, here comes the train, which I can then request, which I use for railways and furnaces mostly. Yeah, look at that unloading frenzy. Hey, a couple of oil barrels came through. Yes, he's just getting loaded straight back in. But yeah, I've learned a lot from this factory. But anyway, moving on. This is my attempt at producing level 3 science packs. It's all such a convoluted mess up here. But anyway, I've connected it to the second stage one because that produces one of the ingredients. And I've also connected it to this line here of circuits and metals. But this facility here produces all of the fast transporters, or whatever they're called. What are they? Fast inserters. Because it's multi-step, so you need a load of factories doing it. This one produces the smart ones, which then just get sent down here, and these three actually produce the science packs. The rest of the resources are coming in from across the factory, so I've got advanced circuits coming through here. Unfortunately, I produce very little of them. I do need to step that up as well. And this is the steel plates. They look like girders, but they're plates. And the batteries, as you can see, get fed under here and down into this entire array. The train just left, so it's safe to cross. But here's the purpose of it. These are the science labs. I've got carousel fitted with, well, it's got 2 tracks running it, but as you can see, the blue tracks here is the level 3 ones. They're the ones I need because, well, they're the hardest ones to make, and I've researched everything that doesn't need them. So my current research progress is actually at a crawl. As you can see, most of these labs aren't actually working because I don't produce much of them. But while they were working, I have tons of level 1s and level 2s. And a little gun protection platform up here connected to the bullet line, which I also haven't shown you. Damn, this place is complex. Anyway, this place, I've got these 5 producing level 2s. But and as you can see, they're all clogged up, so they're not consuming resources. And then this is... oh, I lied earlier. There was still another copper source, but this one's running out quite rapidly. But anyway, yeah. This is a copper source, and this is the source of the level 1 packs, which it produces and feeds straight down onto the inside track of this carousel system. Then lastly, well, that's actually nasty. Then there's little things up here, like this one produces all of the metal cogs. I've only got 2 factories producing those because I don't tend to get through that many. And then I've got these 5 factories producing all my copper wire. And here's the line coming up from the station, as you can see, with all the iron ore and copper ore. And this is what happens to it. Since I'm using a single track to cut down on congestion, I've got this splitting system here, which unloads all of the copper and iron ore into these 2 separate refining sets. A carousel that's running all the copper through and unloads it into the middle, and one that's unloading all the iron and converts it into iron plates, which again unloads into the middle, which is actually what I've found to be quite an efficient design overall, though it is a bit bulky, so that might be a problem. Because something I've noticed this game lacks is a decent splitter, which can pick off only one type in a 2-block radius. I'll show you what I mean in a second. But instead you have to use the these smart inserters to grab a certain resource type off the incoming line, which actually works okay, but it's a little bit larger than I'd like. But this is what I meant, a splitter. If this could only pick up one resource type, that would be awesome. It'd probably be a smart splitter or something like that, because right now they just split 1-to-1 the incoming line, and that's what it does here. This is splitting these lines. For every 2 that goes into here, 1 goes here, 1 goes here. Unless this one's full, in which case they just all go to this one, which is a nice touch. Yeah, this is the this is taking all of these steel plates off it. Okay, steel plates off it, and those that it doesn't grab because it's full are going down here and being... no, that's iron plates. What's I on about? Iron plates off there, steel plates down there. This is my coal field. I've been running off this field since, well, since the start of the game actually, this coal field. But then when I switched, well, you can see there's more here. But right now this is just feeding my plastic production because of this original line here. You can see where it used to connect there. It used to run backwards. All of this was coal. Welcome to my main power plant, such as it is. But yeah, this is my main power plant. This is my coal. This is actually where I started, up here. And down here there used to be some iron. There's some iron there, it's gone. Iron there, still running, it's clogged up. Because I am actually producing a lot more iron than I need at the moment. My main shortages are, well, they were copper, but I have actually caught back up thanks to that new base. So that means my main problem right now is oil and plastics, as well as production rates on things like circuits. But now on to the arguably most interesting feature of this base, and that is the central assembly lines. As you can see here, the iron plates are coming through, and then they're being stacked onto one side, and here come the copper plates onto the other. And this is because I have built this entire thing, like that's the copper wire, there are the cogs merging together. I built this entire thing to channel down a unified delivery line which runs through the heart of the base. See here, basic resources, the cogs, the copper wire is trying to get through, but it's all being picked off and processed. And then here we've got circuit lines coming through, normal circuits and advanced ones, which has a third line to it. And then down here it meets a fourth line which comes from over here, which is the steel and plastic. Plastic is being produced down there, and then it splits off and merges into the steel line, which has resulted in this crazy little arrangement here. 4 separate lines carrying 8 different resources, which all just comes to an abrupt end in the middle of the station, pretty much. Well, in the middle of the factory, because there's nowhere for it to go. The track's in the way, the refineries are in the way, the stone processing is in the way. There's just nowhere for it to go, so it actually comes to a dead end right here. But it's not all bad news. I mean, at the end of it, I have actually fitted these provider chests and this split line here, so it actually stores all of the resources in this area, and I can request them as I like. But yeah, there's something I missed quite early on, I remember, which is the ammunition facility, and here it is. Wow, amazing, isn't it? A single factory producing ammunition. It just grabs the resources it needs from here, which is the copper plates, and from here, which is the steel. But unfortunately, because it's a turn there, it's currently starved of steel because it can't quite grab it until it moves. Like, yeah, see, it moves slightly and then it could grab them. But only that single factory is supplying all of my guns with ammunition. And the last thing I haven't shown is really, yeah, that's the Northern Defensive Battery there. There used to be a steel field there, but it's run out a long time ago. I've scrapped everything. And over here is my original oil site, which is still producing 0.1 a second. So I guess at 0.1 they keep producing, but just not much. Yeah, that pretty much covers my entire factory, I think. I mean, I've got oil storage up here for some reason, and then it connects by pipes all the way down to the southern end of the factory. But yeah, this is what I have been doing, and I suspect I've given a very dull tour, but yeah, whatever. I do like this game. It's only an early alpha, but it's so very functional so far. My main complaints about it are, well, I was hoping, as I mentioned at the very start, to get more enemies coming after me, and I have not seen that. I mean, I do get occasional attacks, but nothing my batteries of guns can't handle, and I've not seen anything beyond just the basic spawning bases and things like that for the enemies as well. But I have hopes, like maybe I'll find rival factories or concentrated attacks by opponents or things like that. I can hope for the future, can't I? Can't I? Well, I don't care what you say, I am going to hope for the future, because this is a good game, I like it. But yeah, that is Factorio, and this is the BetaFort, such as this is. Thanks for watching, everyone, and this is maybe the pilot episode of what you've been doing. I'll catch you later.